So we live together.
Yep.
We watch football together.
Yep.
We talk about football together.
Yep.
Why don't we just start a podcast?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Eye Test. It's your boy Lyés and my guy CultureCams. The smoke has kind of descended. Order has been restored after like the pandemonium of that Arsenal versus Manchester City game at the weekend, which was billed as like a massive Super Sunday, but actually lived up to the billing, which was something that me and Cam were a little worried wasn't going to happen. There's been so much talk about almost everything. The red card situation, Rodri's injury, what it could mean for the rest of the title race. Did Arsenal play like Blackburn of 2005, or was it a great method? We're here to kind of just like digest all of it, but I think the most important thing is all the noise is kind of gone now. We've had time to kind of like just think about everything, and this is where we kind of have that conversation. So Cam, what's your big takeaway after 2 days later since that game? What are you kind of coming away from with that game?
I think there's two sides of it. I think it's funny because I think both teams will walk away in a way a little bit happy in the grand scheme. In the moment of the match, they both walk away disappointed, which is kind of crazy because City walk away thinking we didn't capitalize on 10 men. But before the game, I'm sure at this stage of the season, a draw is not the end of the world for them. Of course it's not. And Arsenal, if I told them before the game, draw at Etihad, they would be like, thank you very much. Yeah. But then to concede in 97th minute, you know what I mean? After defending so well, it's such an interesting dynamic that in a way you're both happy, but you're both disappointed. But then it leaked out at the end of the game. Yeah. You know, you saw the players fighting each other. You saw Haaland winding people up.
Haaland was involved with everything.
Everything.
In that game,
he was
cussing
charged.
out Lewis Skelly. He was cussing out Gabriel. He was cussing out Arteta. He was cussing out Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah.
Bro, he barged into Partey. Like, yo, he was on one.
He was super, super charged up for it. Like, I think, you know, Haaland, he grew up in the era of social media. You know, he did. He actually speaks about social media a lot. And I think he would have seen everyone saying, oh, he gets locked by Saliba. He gets locked by Gabriel, huh?
You think Haaland got a burner? KD style?
He might, you know. He might. Haaland might. You know what? Haaland might, you know. But I definitely think he saw all the Gabriel locks him up thingy. Yeah. And I remember at the end of their last game, I think it was at the Emirates, they had a little square up as well. Yeah. Gabriel and Haaland. So both of them really take this assignment seriously. And I just think the emotions of it and the heated battle of what it is, the top two playing each other. It boiled over. Do you know what I mean? But that's what I know. A lot of people are saying this is where the rivalry starts and stuff, which I can agree with. I think it's not only just about this where rivalry starts, but it's where I guess a rivalry should have a little bit of distaste towards each other. But yeah, a lot of people are talking about this is where the rivalry starts and stuff. And I think that's a rivalry needs to have a bit of dislike towards each other. Like Pep and Arteta, you were the mentor, you were the your student, whatever. Forget all of that. At some point, you've got to knock that person off. Yeah. And I think Arteta, the way we're going to talk about it, but the way they're talking about the dark arts, and I read that the reason why Lewis Skelly got his booking is because Arteta sent him to go warm up behind the goal, pass a message to Raya, basically to go down so you can have a conversation. I like that stuff. Yeah. I like that stuff. A lot of people are talking about the Premier League have now received a complaint from clubs saying that Arsenal always do dark arts.
That's woke, by the way.
And for me, for me, I'm just like, I don't agree with that, because the reason why I don't agree with that is I'm a United fan. I've watched United do dark arts. I've watched United bully referees, you know what I mean, in the 2000s. I've watched Man City get away with cheap counter-stopping free kicks.
Fernandinho is the king
non-stop and walk away with no bookings. I mean, all the time.
We are of the era of Jose Mourinho, where every week he was doing shit like that. I mean, there's a story, literally, that Jose Mourinho, he wasn't allowed to see his team because he was suspended, so he snuck into a laundry basket to be able to pass instructions onto his team. But when he did it, we all loved it. Rightfully so, right? Like that's part of the intrigue. All of a sudden now that Arsenal are doing it, maybe it's because no one likes Arsenal, but I don't know. I got no issue with it either.
We watched Barcelona do it. How long under Pep himself? Yeah. How many times do they go to ground? How many times do they waste time? But so at the same time, it's something that we've seen before. So I'm surprised that they'll go and do the whole like Premier League complaint. That's a bit too far for me. But in general, I like that there's a bit of fire to this now. I like that Gabriel said, hey, no big deal. Like, chill out, everybody. We'll see them at the Emirates. I like that, bro. Like, don't complain, don't whine. Oh, he threw the ball on my head. Bro, Pizzagate happened. Fabregas was throwing
damn pizza. Forget about the ball.
Inside
Gabriel's lucky threw him.
You know what I mean? Things happen, and this is what you want. I'm not gonna compare it to Liverpool because everyone's comparing it to Liverpool. But this is what you want. I don't think a proper rivalry you can like each other. I just don't think so.
Can I ask you this though, right? Again, we won't talk too much about the Liverpool thing because we even made a video on that, right? But why do you think this one does seem to have a bit more distaste between two groups rather than like more so than the other one did? What do you think it is between these two teams that maybe we haven't seen for a while?
I actually think, right, because Arsenal haven't gotten over the line yet. Like, remember, Liverpool won the Champions League, right? Liverpool won the Champions League, and obviously instantly Liverpool had knocked Arsenal and Man City out of the Champions League in 17-18.
They're the ones who ended their unbeaten
run. They ended their unbeaten run. So they kind of forced City into respect us. You know what I mean? Respect us. And Klopp also was a manager that was beating Pep, even in Germany. He had some decent results against him. So I think Man City instantly looked at it like, wow, we have competitors here. Whereas Arsenal, it's kind of been, yeah, we still beat you. We still beat you. You don't come to Etihad and win.
It's like the little brother that came in like, you guys, you were my little bro a few years ago. Why are you?
Exactly. Why are you hyping up? Look at the way Haaland was talking. Be humble. Who are you? To Gabriel, what are you talking about? You clown. Like, he doesn't really respect them on that level, but it doesn't matter if you respect them, bro. They're going to make you respect them. That's what Arsenal's thought process is. We're going to make you respect them. And that is what happened. Look, everybody grew up, or all these players as well would have grown up as Arsenal as a mediocre club in terms of winning trophies. So now that they're coming serious, it's kind of like this little Arsenal who are our little brothers, our sons, are trying to now kind of bark up at us. Now we're not having it. So it's kind of a clash in that way. And I saw people talking about it. There's a lot of different kind of takes on it. Like,
because I got my own take on it.
There's a lot of different takes, but I do think it does stem from City players kind of not really respecting Arsenal. Jesus went there, Zinchenko went there. Like, yeah, you guys can go Arsenal, but it doesn't matter. Arsenal fans and Arsenal as a club don't have to think, oh, we want them to respect us. What they should be thinking is, come around Emirates, watch. You're going to get run up out here. And that's what it should be about, bro.
I feel like it's also, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I also think it has to do with the styles as well, too. And when I look at a lot of City's players and I listen to the way they talk after interviews, and for me, the most famous one is Rodri, right? Rodri, every single time he bucks a team that doesn't play a style of play that's respectable. It's, yeah, well, they won, but I could never play that style of football, basically. Or like, oh, they had to resort to defensive football. He's got a bit of, bro, he's the king of football snobbery. Facts. And I love Rodri as a player, but it's unarguable. Bernardo Silva, I think also, he's got a little bit of that about him,
I want to talk about him.
So I feel with Liverpool, the reason as well that they had a bit of respect is, whether you like it or not, I feel like they looked at Liverpool's style and was like, oh, they're taking the game to us. We have to like adapt to them. And like, remember Pep, that interview or that clip from All or Nothing where he's basically saying, Salah, Firmino, Mane, they give me nightmares. Like, how are we going to defend against them? And I feel like they look at Arsenal, and look, at the end of the day, you got to win. You get it how you live, right? So it doesn't matter how you get it, but you got to get it. So Arsenal aren't going to care if they come away winning a league title if they play defensive football or if they play a style that isn't acceptable in Rodri's eyes. But I think in the eyes of the City players, they look at the way Arsenal are approaching games against them compared to how Liverpool did it, and it's not as respectable in their eyes. Because again, I feel like
that's
City as an institution and Pep Guardiola and the way they play football, they hated it when Real Madrid beat them that way as well last year too. They had the same kind of stuff to say last season as well too. So I feel like that's a big thing that comes into them looking down at Arsenal. It's almost like not only are they looking at them down in terms of like,
you guys can't compete with us.
Exactly. They look at them like, you know what I mean? Not in terms of little brother is one thing, but it's also like, oh, you guys are a lesser team in terms of footballing status compared to us.
I fully agree with that. And as you mentioned, Bernardo, but the thing about Bernardo, one thing I like about Bernardo, he's keeping the same energy he had for Liverpool. Bernardo was on to Liverpool as well. Everybody that talks about, oh, it was a friendly rivalry, Bernardo's the only one that used to spark that. Bernardo came out and said, why do Liverpool players win all the player of the years? We're the ones winning titles.
I remember that.
We never win that. Bernardo's the one that did not clap for the Guard of Honor. He's the only one. He's the only one, bro. Bernardo has come out and spoken about Liverpool a few times, and he's doing the same with Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
That's just the way he is. So I respect Bernardo for that
They keep the
situation.
same
He's
energy,
keeping the same energy, but I actually fully agree with the whole stylistic thing. But at the same time, bro, it's not one way to play the game.
In fact, no,
Do you
like
know
I
what
said,
I mean?
at the end of the day, if Arsenal win the league by basically going to every big away ground and playing like this, and at the end of the day coming away with a Premier League title, no one's like, there's not an actual asterisk next to the trophy that says, oh, they won it playing defensive, or they won it going to the Etihad and getting a draw or something like that.
You got to think about it from a Man City point of view as well, right? Like, Man City are looking at it, like what I'm saying, like, they took, all right, you took our assistant in Arteta.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course.
You took Jesus, you took Zinchenko, Sterling's there now.
Yeah.
They're looking at it like, do you know what I mean? Like, you lot ain't, that's probably what they're looking at. But as I'm saying, Arsenal ain't got to worry about that. Arsenal have got to force Man City into respect them. Not even respect them, into acknowledging them, bro. They got to force them into it.
But I think they have now. I think there is acknowledgement there now, bro.
100. Pep says it himself. So Pep talks about them being one of the best teams in the world and stuff. But the thing is, right, the longer it goes on with Arsenal not winning a title or winning a major over Man City, they're going to continue having this kind of elitist mentality over them. It's when we were competing against Newcastle and stuff in the 90s, you think Fergie gave a damn about Newcastle?
Yeah.
He didn't. When Kevin Keegan saying, I'll love it, I'll love it. Love it. Do you get what I mean? But when Wenger came through, he won early. First full season, he won. Bro, you better respect me. Same thing with Jose Mourinho when basically our second rivals came, because after Arsenal, our second rivals are Chelsea. He won instantly.
I feel like, by the way,
he slapped us. So you've got to really impose on them, which Liverpool did. Liverpool came through when they were finally ready. Boom, we're knocking you out of the Champions League. Boom, we're winning the Champions League. 97 points. Next season, we are blowing you out of the water. So it's like, wow. Yeah. And that's what Arsenal have got to do. The longer you go and it's like not win at the Etihad and you didn't win it. Okay, last season they won at the Emirates, but the season before they didn't. Like, the longer it goes on, when it's just like whatever, not winning Champions League, not winning a league, fans, as we have these conversations, fans, and of course the players are humans as well. They're gonna be looking at it like, nah, same old bottle Arsenal. Yeah, you guys ain't that team yet. Yeah. Got to force these people to respect you, man.
No, 100%, right? That's what I was saying as well too on SDS. I was basically saying, like, because one of them was basically saying, well, how come it's okay when Chelsea used to play like this, and how come it was okay when Atletico play like this, or other teams go to the Etihad and play and get a draw? Basically, like, Liverpool only won, like, the year they won the league, they didn't beat City at the Etihad. I think they only won there one single time or some shit like that. Like, why is it okay for them but not for us? And I was like, at the end of the day, right or wrong, winning is what makes everybody happy, right? Because I know, you know what it was? Like, they were saying, how come Arteta basically being versatile and playing this style at the Etihad is a problem, but then also Ange not being versatile is also a problem? Like, what do they want? And I said, people just want winning. Like, trophies are they're the ultimate silencer. They're the ultimate thing that you can just, it's like putting your balls on the table and saying, okay, no matter what you say, I have something to show for it at the end of the year.
How did you remember? We've got a perfect example for us. How did we feel when Man City started coming? Man City started coming, right? 08, 09. Okay, they signed Robinho. We're like, yeah, nice.
Forget about nice. We called them the noisy neighbors.
Exactly.
Everybody. What did Sirach say? He's like, we all have neighbors, and sometimes those neighbors get a little noisy. Yeah,
there we go. So we're like, okay, cool. They signed some Robinho and some players. All right, what cool. 09, 010. All right, you're shaking us up a bit, but we walked away with 3 big results against them. All right. You're like, okay, 10, 11, you lot are still competing with Spurs and that. But Tevez,
FA Cup semi-final.
Semi-final, they beat us. So you're like, okay, and Tevez is there. Then 11, 12, 6-1 on our head. Whoa, we have to respect you now. That's what Arsenal are going to need to do. Like, they're trying to do.
And we're not saying they have to beat them 6-1, because I know they're going to be like, well, this City team's better than that City. No. We're not saying that, but like, you're going to have to get one over them. Like, you're going to have to get one big... I
spoke with Micah Richards about this himself. He literally told me, going up, this is the like, literal perfect example. So Micah Richards, I was speaking with him. It's on my YouTube. But he was like...
Welcome back, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, mate. So he was like, when Manchester City played Man United, they didn't have belief. They didn't have belief they can do it. when that moment happened with when we scored Mark Hughes, Michael Owen, they didn't believe that they could beat us at that stage. But once that 6-1 happened and they walked into the dressing room, they looked around and were like, yeah, we're better than these guys. Like, we are better than these guys. Finally, we're better than them. We're going to go and win the league. And of course, it came down to a Aguero moment, but they went and did that. So it just shows that you need them moments. Arsenal fans know about it. When they won in the Community Shield, they said that's one for the mentality. But you got to go a step further. This is Man City, the big dogs. Yeah. You know what I mean? You got to go further. Look what City did to us. You got to go and win that league, man. And then these guys, you think they'll be piping up like that? No way. They can't speak to you like that when that's the case. So I think that's what Arsenal need to do if they're going to... But as I said, they're not going to care about the respect, but they want to get it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, getting it is one thing, right? Like I said, like, they win the league at the end of the year playing the way they want to play, playing the way that gets them results. They're not going to give a shit what anybody has to say, bro.
Yeah.
Let's talk about City a little, right? Because that's kind of the Arsenal-focused view of this. You said at the start, something I don't agree with you with, that they would probably taking a draw at the start of the season.
Who?
Or at the start of the game. You were saying, like, oh, City can be happy with, like, they'll be okay with this result. Like, not at the end, but like at the beginning, they would have. It's not a bad result. I think they wanted to win this game, bro. I think I look definitely. I think they like badly won. Like, the way they started this game, bro, was so aggressive, and like we were expecting a cagey encounter. And maybe Arsenal started a little slow themselves, but the first 10 minutes of that game showed me City. The minute they got that first, they were trying to go for 2, 3, 4. I think they were trying to kill this Arsenal hype at the head, like. And I think looking at how the game went, I think they're gonna be so frustrated with how, like, not lackluster, but like how dull they were in terms of, like, they couldn't break Arsenal down. And the goal they get, it's like a scrappy equalizer, but playing with that much time against 10 men and not really creating that many clear-cut chances, I think will have pissed them off massively. And then to cap it all off, the injury to Rodri that we're kind of finding out now, which ends his season basically. And in my opinion, he's the most important player on that team. And you could argue he's the most important single player for any team in the Premier League. Maybe Van Dijk I would put up there as well too. This for me has been a horrible weekend for Manchester City. Like you might say, okay, they'll take the draw. I think they're going to be pissed at how this weekend goes. And now the bigger conversation is, how detrimental is this injury going to be to both their title hopes and their European hopes?
I think we had this conversation off air. I think European wise, it's going to be a big issue. I think it could be bad for them in the Champions League. I think in the Premier League, they're still going to get by. As much as the Premier League is more like up and down and stuff, so you might think, wait, well, you need someone there like Rodri in the Premier League. I just think when I'm looking at it, right, in the Prem, I just think they have enough. They have enough quality. They have enough to blow away some of these mid-table teams, to blow away the relegation teams. I expect Man City to still go and get their full results. Now, when they go to the Emirates without Rodri, I'll be worried. When you go to Anfield without Rodri, I'm like, oh, okay. Even Old Trafford, okay, let me just. But
hold on.
Yeah. But now, honestly, when you go to these better teams, right, away without Rodri is when I'm thinking, okay. But when I'm looking at it in terms of the course of the league, I still expect City to dominate the league. I still expect dominate teams. I still expect them to carry on, man. The only problem is now is how do you get, and I think it was Umir spoke about it, how do you get KDB and Foden in the team now without a Rodri? Do you know what I mean? Like, because Savio is holding down that right, it's looking like. So is it now Foden battling with KDB for one spot? Is it now Foden battling with Doku and Grealish for the left-hand side? You're now starting to think, because now you're thinking Gundogan and Kova surely have to start together.
Yeah,
just for that kind of balance.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Or is it Rico Lewis? Is it John Stones? I don't know. We're going to see what Pep's thinking. But those are question marks that they have to answer. But I think overall, I think they'll be fine. In the Champions League, you can touch on it more. Yeah. Why do you think the Champions League is going to be where they struggle?
I think a lot of City fans have also said the same thing that I'm about to say. I just think Champions League games, and you see it every year, it's such fine margins. And at the end of the day, it can often be moments of magic, because when you have these excellent, very tapped in, like, continental managers that can really game plan against you, like one game, they just have to worry about you for one. They don't have to worry about your results over 10 games. For one game, how do we game plan against Manchester City? And knowing that they don't have Rodri, who is so much for them, right? Like I say this all the time. He's not your typical defensive midfielder who's just there first phase and then give it to the more talented players.
Yeah.
He's their build-up guy. He's their guy who's carrying the ball forward. He's the one splitting the lines. He's the one playing these cross-field passes. He's even last season the guy getting on the end of moves that he started himself.
Yeah.
So he is everything to that. He's the hub of that team. And when I look now, if I'm Real Madrid, and of course they have their own issues that they have to get under house.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say in February, March, they're looking a lot sharper. A team that devastating on the transition, looking at Manchester City without Rodri, who is basically the guy that's supposed to like stop the beginning of those transitions. If I'm Inter Milan and I'm looking at them, if I'm Bayern Munich and I'm looking at them, I'm sorry, Manchester City look a lot more human without Rodri in that midfield. And I think they're more likely to kind of be caught off on a bad day or a day where a manager expertly manages against them than they are to be in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm. Nah, I can agree with that, and especially if you think about it as well, like the Champions League is a bit slower and it's a bit more controlled and stuff. And Rodri excels in the moments as well. He even pops up with big goals at times as well. He demands that kind of respect from teams, so you don't want to go near. He's kind of got that aura on the pitch now.
Manchester City look a lot more lightweight in midfield without him.
Yeah,
like he's a beast, right? He's a beast. You're going now to, and again, no disrespect to these players, brilliant players. Gundogan, Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne at his current age, Foden. They look a lot less menacing without Rodri in that midfield. They're brilliant technicians and they have engine, all that stuff. But Rodri's the man in that midfield.
Small midfielder when you think about it. Yeah, in terms of height.
Yeah.
And you could think about if they put Rico Lewis.
And no, they're all feisty, they're all tenacious. I get all that, but Rodri is the man in that midfield, bro.
Yeah, do you think he can potentially put John Stones there?
This, for me, goes back to the Trent situation in terms of I think these guys are great at inverting at times in possession in midfield, but actually starting games in midfield.
I think he started like 2 or 3 in there properly, but I haven't.
It's really for me a similar situation to maybe Rico Lewis is a different thing because he's actually a midfielder. But for me, John Stones is the guy that inverts into midfield. And he does it a lot more than Trent. But starting him from the jump as a number 6, I got to see it to believe it personally.
Yeah. I think if any defender can do it, it should be able to be.
It would be
John Stones in it. So I think we're gonna see some innovative stuff from Pep here, man. Yeah. We might see something completely different. This Rodri injury might affect somebody completely that we're not even thinking about. I'm saying it could affect Doku. Yeah. It could affect Grealish. Yeah. It could affect Foden. Yeah. Like in a weird way. You would think, because what's the 6 got to do with you? But honestly, the way Pep thinks, he's going to do something, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Of course.
Let's briefly as well talk too on the fact that this injury has come to a guy that's basically been the main advocate for player welfare, and basically he's been the guy kind of pushing forward this idea that in 2024 footballers are playing way too many games. And I think it's crazy that just as recently as last week he was even hinting that there might be like a strike from players if circumstances don't improve. And a lot of people were laughing at Rodri. A lot of people online were actually like mad at Rodri for saying, well, basically trying to imply that you're a professional footballer. Be grateful. Yeah. Like, why you get paid millions of pounds? You're playing the dream life. Like, stop complaining. Like, okay, should we take away money from you if you want to play less games? Which for me is just super entitled and I think super out of touch anyways. But for that exact guy to go down a week later with a season-ending injury, does that kind of point towards a bigger picture and maybe add some more validity to his point?
You know, I've mentioned that as well. And I actually, some people are like, well, that injury is not down to fatigue.
I saw that. And I hear it, but
what we don't know though, like I know knee injuries ain't down to fatigue. That's more like muscles, right? But you just don't really know. Like, you just don't really know what it could be down to. Now, Rodri's probably played the most games in football.
I think he's played over 70 games in the last season or calendar year.
That's what I'm saying. So he's played so many games of football. Like, is it tiredness in how he's warming up? Is it tiredness in how he... Do you know what I mean?
I think it's natural, bro. You're adding mileage to your body, bro.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
You are...
He's a big guy, man.
There's not a coincidence that we saw players who started their careers at 16 or whatever... By the time they're 28, they're getting more injuries and they're finding it harder to recover and this and that. Like, the more you play, like your body, you have to think about it like a car. The more you run your car, the more you drive your car, the value declines, and your car it doesn't work as well as it did 6 months ago, bro.
You know what though? Like with Rodri, my concern for Rodri now is with your point. It's a good point. Like I don't know. Maybe you can put it down to a coincidence in that case, right? I don't know. I'm not a doctor to be able to say, oh, that ACL was linked to fatigue.
No, I hear it.
But it is crazy that happened. My concern with Rodri is that he's a big guy and he's 28, 29.
Yeah.
An ACL injury. Listen, I know it's not the end of the world in
these
this
days,
era.
ACL is like
Yeah, it's
you
like
twist your ankle.
Yeah, exactly. Like Van Dijk came back.
Did
really
ACLs
well.
fall off?
Yeah, Van Dijk came back strong. Like, but it took him a season.
Yeah, don't forget.
It took him a season, and Rodri's it feels like he got more mass on him.
Yeah, he's a heavy guy.
So I'm like, yo, in ACLs for people, if that build, that could be really, really damaging for their career. And I said, Van Dijk, who we called probably the peak athlete of his era, took him a year to get back to what he was, you know. Rodri is an athlete, but he's got a bit of like mass and stiffness to him. I mean,
what's that Anthony Joshua quote?
Yeah.
Big guy.
Yeah. Add an ACL injury onto that.
Yeah.
Yo, we might not see the same Rodri ever again.
And again, well, not even to make this a full conversation, but damn, bro, we're playing, like, these guys are playing too many games. Honestly, again, not trying to say this is causation or some shit, but these guys are playing too many games. We're seeing 2 more games out in the Champions League for everybody, Nations League, international friendlies, qualifiers, World Cups, Euros, leagues, cups. Like, it's just too much, bro. These guys are humans. And, like, this is why, for me, everybody who was kind of giving Rodri backlash, be grateful or whatever. You guys are moving like consumers right now, bro. Like, you have, at the end of the day, we love this sport and we watch every single game expecting these guys to be superhumans. But bro, they're great athletes. They're unreal athletes, but they're also made out of skin and bones just like everybody else. You can't run them into the ground. And I hope this is not like basically like a sign of things to come for other players in the next 5 years. Like, the worst thing ever will be Lamine Yamal, God forbid, in 5 years suffers an ACL injury because he's playing 50 games a season from 16 years old onwards, bro. Let's protect our players.
Yeah, probably is going to happen. Not injury, but he's probably going to be a point where we're like, is he burning out or whatever? Because unless he's superhuman like Messi and that them, but they will let me not even say anything, bro. But you know what? Yeah, one thing I would say is. One thing I would say,
he's saying you got that super soldier serum,
bro. Him and Ronaldo, yo, they had to push this brand forward, bro. Let me tell you that, but we won't say no. That's allegations, allegedly. But when I look at one thing I would say, just to wrap this up, is I think you let the rivalry between the players happen. You let the rivalry between the managers happen. Let the rivalry between the clubs happen. Even if it spills out and people are having fights or whatever as fans, whatever, right? Police are there for a reason. But I think the discourse afterwards, when everyone was talking about like laughing at Rodri's injury and like, don't drop that low. And then people will post one account or something saying, oh, I pray, I don't know, Saka or Timber's injury is serious. Bro, don't stoop to them weirdo people's levels, man. These are faceless accounts.
That's when you let the sport get too real, bro.
Man, come on. We're all human. Don't think about it. And the thing is, the reason why I say that is, don't think about it as, well, they wanted my player. Bro, think about it in your own life. Man, think about what you're putting out there, bro. You'll go and be celebrating that man's got injured, bro. Next thing you know, you've lost your job at home, bro. You've been hit by a car. Just don't put things out there like that. I can't be celebrating a man tearing his knee. People let football
Trust
me, man.
Like, people, especially social media, right? It's gotten so out of touch now with actual reality.
Yeah.
The way I view it, right? Because I was talking the other day about Gravenberch, and I was saying, like, I'm so happy to see Gravenberch kind of like now achieve his potential, because I hate Liverpool as a football club, as a Man United fan. I don't have any hate for their players because they play for Liverpool, because in a different reality, they could be Man United players. Like,
some end up doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, one day they could be a Liverpool player. The next day they're going to be an Ajax player. Should I now not like them more because they went to Ajax? And I understand, like, as football fans, there's tribalism there, but like, don't let your disdain for a football club now completely become your entire personality, and now everything affiliated with that club, you prey on their downfall. That's where you've lost the plot. And I do feel when it comes to these high tense rivalries, and again, like we said, we started off by saying we love the hatred, but no one on the Arsenal camp, I'd hope not, are now looking at the Rodri news and like popping champagne bottles saying, we're one step closer to winning the league. Like, come on, bro. Like, be real here, bro. Like, it's crazy. But anyways, I can't wait to see the reverse fixture, man. February 1st. I got that shit circled in my calendar, man. I think that game is going to be so high pressured. I think, talk about boiling over now, I think shit could go crazy at that moment, especially if Arsenal really capitalize on this result and it's this close still at that time. But guys, let us know what you guys thought about the game on the weekend. And yeah, That should do it. Yeah, BR Football as well too. I always forget about them. Yeah, how can I forget about them? BR, thank you for powering this podcast as always. Go check them out. X, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, all that good stuff. It's myself, Lyés, my boy CultureCams. I'll see you next time. Peace.